I don't want to go and say anything. The story you just told me now is just so... What? That's like I do a wacky but true kind of story, weird stories. And that's one of those weird stories where it actually happened and you cannot believe just how ridiculous that is. But anyway, claims and things.
Well,
By the way, good afternoon. How are you? You well, sir?
I'm always good.
That's good. I'm pleased you are. I want to sit down because of that story. I just shake my head. You can't even shake your head when you hear a story like that. You just go, there's a little emoji of a man who just goes like it, covers his eyes and drops his head, because that's the kind of thing you cannot believe.
It's crazy. I heard it from a client of mine. And
One cannot repeat it, can one? Can one?
You can repeat it. It's thing.
Dear listener.
We're speaking under correction here.
Oh, all right. Well, maybe we better not. Let's just leave it at that. I'll use it in my wacky but weird stories one day.
I think you're going to have to.
All right. Now we're looking at claims now. How savvy are we as far as claims are concerned in South Africa? Are we getting there? Are we there already? Or are we still just leave it. It doesn't matter.
Well, remember, we're focusing today specifically on small claims. And the reason I want to touch on this very early on in the year is because people might have suffered damages somewhere now over the festive season, or they have a claim that is possibly going to prescribe soon. So they find themselves in a situation where they might need to go and see an attorney.
Okay.
Now, if that specific claim is less than 15,000 Rand, you do not need to go and see an attorney. It's just going to cost you extra money to go and institute that claim. You can approach the small claims court.
It is a whack of money. 15,000 is 15,000 if it was that amount.
Yeah, well, that's the upper limit. So anything more than that, you can't claim in that court unless you abandon the amount above 15,000 to bring it into the small claims court jurisdiction.
Okay.
But should you have a claim, so let's say, for example, you lend somebody money. They haven't repaid you. The amount is less than 15,000. You can approach the small claims court. The nice thing about a small claims court, it's a lot faster than the normal court system.
Mm-hmm.
The second thing is, no legal counsel is allowed in the small claims court.
Oh.
So you can't go and get yourself an attorney to represent you in the small claims court. You run the claim yourself. You go and you speak to the clerk of the court in the jurisdiction in where the claim arose, alternatively where the debtor resides, and say, listen, I have this kind of claim. They will then send out a letter of demand. Within 14 days after that letter of demand, if you've had no reaction or no payment has been received, you go back to the clerk of the small claims court and they will issue out a summons for you. That summons must then be delivered to the defendant, and then the defendant will either be brought before the court.
So you're looking at a couple of, weeks, maybe months here before anything happens.
Well, you're looking at approximately, you could get into court inside 6 weeks, where if you actually issue summons through the normal run of things and they defend and that kind of thing, you could take up to 3 years to get into court.
So small claims is the way to go.
Small claims is the way to go if you are dealing with a claim that is less than 15,000.
Okay, right.
The biggest issue I find nowadays as an attorney is you don't even have major damage to your car. Let's say you got into an accident. You're way over the 15,000 limit. But let's say the claim was 17,000. You can abandon the 2,000 and only claim the 15,000. The problem with the abandoning thereof, you can never claim that abandoned portion at a later stage.
Okay, all right.
So, the small claims...
But for the sake of getting it over and done with quickly, that's the way to go.
That is the way to go. And the nice thing there is the community can save themselves a lot of money. They don't have to see an attorney.
Do we as South Africans now do this, or is it still a lot
No,
of
it's already in place.
No, but I'm saying, do we make use of it?
A lot of the people that I've seen in Sasolburg, I will, if the claim is less than 15,000, I will specifically refer them to the small claims court.
And you've done that?
And I've done that. I've told my clients, listen here, you've come in for advice. The best advice I can give you, based on the fact that your claim is this amount, go to the small claims court.
Have they done it? Do you get
Yes, I've had feedback.
Do you get feedback?
I've had feedback from people that have been successful in the small claims court. Vereniging has a very, very successful small claims court system.
Oh.
So does Vanderbilt. I'm not too sure of. I haven't been involved there at all. But Sasolburg as well. So the people will then take their claims to the small claims court, be assisted, and within a certain amount of time, they would actually get a judgment. The nice thing with the small claims court, it's very informal. So the commissioner, who is actually appointed by the minister, would then make a decision. If not immediately, probably a week or 2 weeks thereafter, depending on how complex the issue was.
Okay. So this amount of up to and including 15,000, or maybe more, and you are prepared to let 1,000 go or 500 go, or whatever the case may be, this is maybe a little bumper to bumper. It could be anything really, or is it a specific field of, you said you'd sell your second-hand bed to me for 1,800 Rand. I gave it to you. You still haven't given me the money. Boom.
You can then claim the bed or the money back. So those claims would be dealt with in a small claims court.
Oh, my goodness. And then the bed comes back, and then the mattress has a tear in where it never had
Then
a tear
there's going
before.
to be
And there's going to be a hither and thither. So this could go on for quite a while.
Well, it all depends on your commissioner. Your commissioners are usually trained legal practitioners. Alternatively, people that want to move into the magisterial side of things, so into the justice side. I find that most of the time their decisions are based on sound legal principle. Now, there's certain claims that you cannot institute in a small claims court. Claims against the municipality, for example. Claims against the minister.
Why the municipality?
Well, they are explicitly excluded from a small claim.
That's all right.
And that's due to the Act. So...
Yeah, but they'd be bankrupt if they're not already. If they were not specifically out of that genre, I'm sure there'd be claims every single day.
Well, there's claims every single day
anyway.
But things like, let's take it one step further.
Okay.
I think the reason they don't want the small claims court to deal with municipal issues as well as claims against the minister for wrongful arrest, that kind of thing, is because of the time frames in a small claims court. The state has so much that they've actually got to deal with that when a claim in a small claims court is dealt with so quickly, they don't have the time to research it, get all their ducks in a row, that kind of thing. So by explicitly excluding them in the Act, it would give them time. So once they've had summons issued against them, they will then defend, and then they can actually go and do their homework and say, yes, but we weren't the cause, or this is our defense to this claim, that kind of thing.
I know this is a changing subject, and I should never ever do this. No, Darryl, you can't do that. It was just brought to my attention. You are paying local government for your lights, water, and all of that. Only it's not there. Constantly there are blackouts, water, problems with the flow of the water, etc., 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 and it's just downright annoying, and you want to stop paying for your water and your lights. Is it a legal thing that I'm not going to pay anymore? Why must I for a service that's not being provided properly?
Well, remember, you're actually invoiced every month.
You are, for services that have just somehow not there anymore.
And that's a big thing. Community, usually we see communities fighting about this. This is why there's a lot of protests happening currently, that kind of thing. So you got to say to yourself, where do I draw the line? Because if I don't pay, the municipality has the act to proceed with recourse. They can cut you off in terms of the Municipal Systems Act. So how far do you want to push it? Another thing is to maybe get a whole group of people together and say, listen here, this is what we're doing. Let's say, for example, refuse is not being collected. But we're now paying...
thing like refuse.
We're paying for this
Every
service.
month you're paying for it.
It's not being collected. We've actually had to now go out and get somebody else to remove the refuse that's now piling up on the pavement. That is now additional costs. As a group of people that would have to get together, I would say approach it from that manner. Get a petition in place, even if it falls on deaf ears. Don't simply just withhold the payment thereof. You can hold a portion of the payment. Because most people would say, well, I'm stopping to paying the municipality outright.
Correct.
I'm not going to pay them a cent.
Had enough. Up to here. Don't want to know.
Not going to pay these guys. And I say, I would advise them not to do it that way, because rates and taxes and that kind of thing are always, they're always going to be there. They're always going to be in place. But the portion, let's say, for example, pertaining to refuse, you can hold back. Put that into a trust account and inform the municipality. Listen, this is what we've done.
Yeah.
We are now withholding the payment of this portion because you're not providing the service. Up until the services are provided and you can prove to us what we're actually paying for, then we will relinquish that payment.
You see, you're saying this and it's too much like hard work, that.
It is a lot of hard work.
You got to get everybody... Well, you got to get... I don't know
a
what...
substantial portion of, let's say, your local community, or all the people that are living in the same block, for example, and say, listen here, we're going to withhold this portion. The refuse was supposed to be removed our days in Sasolburg are on a Thursday. Now, if it's not picked up on the Thursday, why must I pay for that day? And you deduct it pro rata, but then you've got to keep record of this. You've also got to say, well, that payment, that thing, I can pay it to you should you prove to me that the refuse was actually collected. That kind of thing. So again, it's all about information and having
all right.
data available.
Okay, getting back to where we were. Claims. Right. Fine. Sorry I interrupted. It's just so unfair. There's always, yes, you can, no, you can't. And, there's a little voice in my head that's just sort of burst a blood vessel. But anyway, be that as it may.
So yes, but pertaining to small claims, there's certain things that you cannot claim. Any amount, and we've touched on that, any amount above 15,000. Then anything pertaining to a criminal nature that is not dealt with by the small claims court. It's all civil claims. So between two parties. The funny thing is, you as a company can't claim in the small claims court. But an individual can claim against the company in the small claims court. So a company can be brought before the small claims court as a defendant, but never as a plaintiff. And that's the way that the act is drafted. You cannot approach the small claims court for like a dissolution of marriage or anything to do with a status change. So if somebody's status needs to be changed, that would never ever be dealt with in the small claims court. And then regarding interdicts and specific performance, where a court has to say, you will do the following. Small claims court can't give those type of orders. So anything sounding in money, let's say money's lent in advance, a bumper bashing, somebody damaged this, you haven't received your goods, that kind of thing. A small claims court can actually deal with those as long as the monetary value of those items, alternatively the monetary value that was lent in advance, is less than 15,000.
Okay. Cool. Well, that seems fine then. So small claims is the way to go then.
Small claims is the way to go. It is a lot faster, number one. Number two, you don't have to approach an attorney for it. Attorneys aren't allowed to appear in the small claims court. So parties will appear on their own.
Isn't that a bit sort of unnerving, standing in that court? You've never been there before, yet now you're going to represent yourself and you won't have the proper legally representation to go about it.
Yeah, the funny thing with the small claims court, it's inquisitorial by nature. So that means the commissioner who's sitting there, who has to make a decision, can turn around and ask you questions. They can actually get involved in the system because it's so informal. Where in a normal magistrate's court and above, it's accusatorial. So the judge or the magistrate would just sit and listen to the parties and maybe ask a few questions, but based on what the parties have put before the court. Like a Judge Judy. Yes, very, very similar to Judge Judy situation,
that kind of scenario.
Where they would actually get involved. They would ask the questions. So as a commissioner, you would be sitting there and you'd be asking, okay, these are the elements that are required for this type of claim. Let me canvass those. And those questions would be pertinently asked to the people, because they, again, as a layman, they're standing in front of the commissioner and they're actually having to represent themselves. But the commissioner knows, okay, this is the basis of the claim. Here we've got the summons. We see, okay, it's money lent in advance. How much was lent? When was it lent? What was the agreement with regard to the amount being paid back?
Okay. All right. And then, of course, also, if the person doesn't have that money to pay back the other person, then it can be done on a monthly basis. And then they skip out a month here and they skip out a month there.
That's where the whole thing changes. Because the small claims court will actually give you an order. So they would come to a ruling, and then that ruling would have to be dealt with. So it's in force of a judgment. Should this defendant not comply, then the plaintiff or the person in whose favor the judgment was made can approach the court again and say, please transfer this to the magistrate's court roll, and we will bring these people into court either to enforce payment, alternatively to obtain a warrant of execution where the sheriff can go and attach their goods and sell those off.
Better hope it's not family.
I've seen cases where family have taken...
Families torn apart. Never speaking to one another again.
And then they end up in court.
Oh, Lord. Not the way to go.
Well, not this early in the year.
No, not this early in the year. All right. Okay. And in closing, Uncle Grant, what else is there about this in closing?
Well, in closing specifically, number one, it is a much faster route and a much cheaper route to go than going to see an attorney. If your claim is less than 15,000, I would advise all the public out there, go and approach your local clerk of the court, find out if they can get the matter onto the roll with the small claims court, so that the matter can be dealt with there.
All right.
The costs that you can expect are possibly sheriff's costs to have the documentation served, and that's basically the costs that you can expect there.
All right. And if you'd like to get hold of anybody at De Beer, Class and Attorneys, who do they call? What number? How do they get hold of you?
They can contact me on 083-981-4706, alternatively 016-976-0800.
976-0800 on 016. There it is. Grant, thank you so much once again, sir. Always. Thank you for coming in.
Thank you.